Tonight, Tim, I've been posting a lot about this. I know you have as well. Clear skies tonight, very pleasant conditions. And I love that you hit this up earlier, that we had a ton of birds migrating over the Carolinas last night, and tonight could be another big night for bird migration. And I think one of the things that people forget about is that birds migrate at night. And so tonight, Birdcast is this great product that I think it's out of Cornell. I think they do this, right? They actually use Doppler radars to help track these birds flying over the Carolinas. And tonight looks to be a really big night for bird migration over our area. And one of the tips they always give, and there's a big campaign for this, to turn your exterior lights off because it can disorient birds at night. I'll be interested to see what the radar returns look like tonight, because we should have a pretty good inversion, which will help give us some good indication of these birds. But we are going to have a bunch of birds flying over us tonight, Tim.
It's really amazing, and something you see a graphic like that says one thing, but what you're showing here, this is quite another. They're estimating that last night, which already happened, basically 20 million birds flew over North Carolina.
Isn't that nuts?
So to put that in perspective, that's 2 birds for every adult human, child, whatever in the state. I think our population is like 10 million.
Yeah.
We had twice as many birds going overhead, and just really interesting to see that. And they have so much data here. They're not just giving you an estimated number. They're telling you what time was it most active, in this case around 8 p.m. What flight direction, maybe what speed, around 30 miles. If I'm reading it right, it's about 30 miles an hour.
They're cruising.
That sounds really fast.
Yeah, and they're flying around 1,200 to 1,500 feet. So, and put that in perspective, just so everybody knows, that's basically the height of our Dallas camera, because that's the height of our transmitter. So that's not very high when you think about it. It's also why it, especially over cities and urban settings, those lights that they use to illuminate our downtown buildings are one of the lights they really are very particular about, and they show a pet peeve with a lot of building lights, because they shine up on the building into the sky, and it disorients the birds. What I find fascinating is all the different species. I think when we think about birds flying south for the winter, Tim, we think of waterfowl, like ducks and geese and all that stuff. But this is actually all kinds of songbirds that are going back down to Central America and Mexico. And we know the hummingbirds, they're heading south as well. So it's pretty cool. Like you said, the data is pretty amazing here of all the different species of birds that will be flying overhead tonight. So 20 million birds, that is a lot of birds.
Yeah, and if you're interested about this at home, you can go to this too. It's just called Birdcast. Just Google Birdcast. It's really birdcast.info. But once you get there, there's a tab that says Migration Dashboard. And so whatever county you live in, you can type it in. But for example, it looks like Mecklenburg County, they estimated about 3.4 million birds last night.
Yeah.
Guilford County, about 2.5 million birds last night.
Just over
it's
one
really
county.
cool stuff. Yeah, it's a lot of birds, right? And obviously county size plays into this. The size matters, I guess. But this is kind of, a cool thing to talk about this time of year. And the weather does play a role. I would imagine in this case, the fact that they're so active has a lot to do that we have a really advantageous wind flowing from north to south right now on the backside of that nor'easter. They don't have to work as hard, I would imagine.
And that's the reason. So someone asked me a really good question. They asked, why do birds fly at night? Well, for 2 reasons. Tim just mentioned one. Usually the winds are calmer, but behind fronts like tonight, they don't have to work as hard. They have a tailwind. They literally have a tailwind flying south. The other thing is less predators. The predators aren't stalking them. Hawks and peregrine falcons, all these other birds of prey that actually attack them, don't have to worry about them. And it's just easier to fly at night. The biggest problem, as we mentioned, exterior lighting, illumination. The lights disorient them and can kind of get them off their path. So that's why lights out is one of the things they want to do. And if you have a Doppler radar app tonight, you'll see after sunset this ground clutter, we call it. The radar beam is bouncing off of an inversion. But in some cases, if you look at different products, you can see correlation coefficient. I think the best one for birds is actually differential reflectivity, because when it shows up white, that's primarily birds, because birds are all different shapes and sizes. They're not the size of raindrops, and they tend to show up really well on the radar. And you can actually see the height they're flying at, right around 1,200 feet or so, because when the radar beam gets above that, you start losing the bird returns on on radar. So it's a really cool thing to check out tonight. And when the weather's sunny and dry like this, Tim, it is something cool to talk about and look at the radar.
I was just going to say, look at us. There's no weather going on, but we can talk about leaves and birds and find out what we'll talk about next tomorrow.
Well, it's weird because I had someone the other night that they were glad I posted because they looked at their radar app and was wondering what was showing up on the radar because it was clear out. And I said, yep, those are birds. That's what you're seeing. In some cases during the summer, it's insects. We see a lot of those as well. Biological returns show up. And it is cool. The radar can see a lot of things other than just raindrops.
Yeah, bats even as well. But it's good to kind of let people know this because nowadays everyone has a conspiracy for everything. And ground clutter has even become controversial as well. So we don't need to dignify that.
Birds are just government drones. We know that. I mean.